get the presentation streaming live, and as soon as that gets up and running, then we will get started. Again, for those that are on, if you could mute your speaker, that would be greatly appreciated. There will be a question and answer at the end. And we should be up and running. So welcome everybody. This is the 2021-2022 VLA New Parent Orientation. So again, thank you for joining us, and we apologize for the difficulties regarding the login process. Today's meeting will focus on how to set up your students for success at VLA. Really just want to give this as an opportunity to share some tips and tricks. We have a couple experts on the call who have had children go through our VLA program. So first and foremost, on the next slide, we have a website. We are asking everybody to complete this. If you have a cell phone, you are welcome to just take a picture of the QR code, and really it is very simple survey asking if you have Schoology access. And if you have been in Schoology, you already have access to that, then indicate that with a yes. If not, you've not received your parent code, please select no and put in your parent information. Two different ways to navigate this. One, if you have a phone, you can simply take a picture of the QR code. And two, if you are maybe on a computer device, simply type in that tiny URL, and that will take you to the Google form. Ms. Del Monte will be monitoring the responses in the form, and will be sending out individual emails based on those responses, ensuring that you do have your Schoology access code and are able to access Schoology by the time this meeting concludes today. So I will also follow up by putting this tiny URL in the chat, and maybe give it just a little bit more time here. So give everybody an opportunity. Again, we are asking that everybody complete this very short survey. This is just to ensure that every parent has Schoology access and has their unique student access code so that you can see your child and their Schoology courses. I will put this URL also into the chat. So with that, Ms. Eichner, why don't we go to the next slide? So we're going to start with some introductions. First and foremost, welcome. My name is Mr. Dobson. I am the principal here at VLA. If you have questions,
I've got to find the ones that are already open.
If you have any questions about dual enrollment, about some of our policies, really anything VLA related, I am here to help you. So door is always open, very responsive to email. Feel free to reach out or give me a call. All right. I'm going to make you unmute there, Ms. Del Monte.
You can't just read it for me.
Nope.
Hi, I am Mrs. Del Monte. I am the administrative assistant, and I work at the front desk of the VLA office. And for those who haven't been here, we are in building C. I'm here to help you with anything. Call me, email me, all that good stuff. Welcome.
All right. Mr. Summers is not on the call today. Mr. Summers is our computer lab monitor, teacher assistant. He supervises some of our dual enrollment classes. We really just want to let everybody know that he is a jack of all trades, a great resource for our students. So please take advantage of him as a resource. He is also the one who sends emails regarding absences or tardies. All right, next slide. Mr. Guillen, he is an instructional aide. He is found often in our learning center supporting students one-on-one. Next slide. And I think Ms. Tabrizi was here or was joining. I don't see her though. So we are very excited this year for Ms. Tabrizi. She is our VLA academic and social emotional counselor. She is available every Wednesday morning, Thursday, and Friday on campus. parents, students, and staff all can complete the VLA Council request form, and that can be found in our weekly updates. Ms. Prettle and Ms. Kelly are our NCS librarians, always available, start of the day, during lunch, and at the end of the day for students to access. Much more available there than just simply books. Next slide. I did see Ms. Perry here. So Ms. Perry, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, Tasia Perry. I'm educational specialist for the program, and I also teach English Bridge and Math Bridge.
Thanks, Ms. Perry. Mr. Macias is our one of our new instructors this year. He teaches English 10 and freshman study skills. So if you have a freshman or 10th grader, they have Mr. Macias. Next up.
Oh, that's me. Hi, I'm Miss Eichner. The kids call me Miss E. I teach all of the social studies content plus leadership. I'm also do yearbook, Pride Club, and whatever else they ask me to do around here. I'm also 11th grade academic coach. So if you have a new 11th grader, I'm the one who helps them and gets them set up and things like that.
All right. I don't think she is on here. She is our new math teacher, teaches the full scope of math 1, 2, and 3. She's also a 10th grade academic coach. Ms. Vigoda is our 11th, 12th grade English language arts teacher. She also oversees our English 300 dual enrollment class and also is our 12th grade academic coach.
My name is Mrs. Meditz. I also go by Senora Meditz, and I teach all 3 levels of Spanish that are available through VLA. So Spanish 1, 2, and 3. Students can also take Spanish 4 on campus, which is very exciting. And I am also an academic coach. I am located in N4. And if you have any questions about Spanish, feel free to reach out by email.
Ms. Cowling is our English 9 teacher. She oversees our dual enrollment, the HCD 310 class, which we have all sophomores in their first semester participate in, and also as an academic coach. Mr. Farwig is our PE teacher. PE is a class that if you got one of those yellow workshop schedules was not listed there. It is an all online class. Students that have come over from PFAA middle school. He also has done some work at Star Academy, are probably familiar with Mr. Farwig. He teaches our online PE. There is a change this year where students can do some in-person baseline tests. Ms. Woods is our science and health teacher. She's also a 9th grade academic coach. For many of the freshmen, parents that are on this call, it's very likely that Ms. Woods is the academic coach or Ms. Cowling. So with that being said, we're going to jump into things. First and foremost, we really want to tailor this to what can be done from the parent side and what can be done at home. One of the things that is certainly unique with VLA is when you look at the workshop schedule, there is a lot of unscheduled time. And really supporting students, helping them to establish a schedule and a routine that works best for them is essential. What's really important to note with VLA is maybe you don't have a child who's a morning person, and that's okay if their schedule allows that. Other students really need that structure and routine that you need to be up at 7:30, come to school by 8:15 and then get started. But one of the things that we really have found is that figuring out a schedule and a structure that works best is essential to a great start to the school year. Much as your role as a new parent to VLA, we encourage all students to ask as many questions as possible. We have a ton of supports available, whether that's asking Ms. Del Monte, Mr. Summers, Ms. Perry, the core academic teachers such as Ms. Meditz. We are all here and we all want students to succeed. And I think the number one thing that a student can do is they can come in, work hard, but just ask a lot of questions and really be receptive to that feedback. And by and large, those students are going to be really, really successful at our program. As a parent, another piece of this is checking Schoology regularly. And that's why we have that Google form that I put into the chat. If you've not completed that form, please do so. We want to make sure that every parent leaves today's meeting with a clear understanding of how Schoology works, and also obviously access so that you can see your child's grades. New this year, you should be on the lookout. Everyone on this call should have received a Tuesday email today. It's going to say one of two things. One, your child had a great week, completed every single assignment from the week previously, and simply a congratulations. The email could also say, unfortunately, you're missing an assignment from last week, and in which case we'd encourage the student to attend one of our optional lab times to get additional support. All right. So, Ms. Eichner, do you want to take this one away? Or you want me to keep going?
I can go ahead. I wasn't sure we didn't which part we were going to do. So one of the things that we want to kind of really promote, a lot of times what happens is that as teachers, when we only have an hour of time, there will be times where we'll say in an assignment, hey, you're going to work in a group on this, either a mini project or an assignment throughout the week that we want you to work on outside of workshops. So one of the things we want you guys to kind of think about is to help your students be accessible to those. That may mean that, you've got to make sure that maybe if they're getting emails from each other, that they're going to decide to be on campus one day, that they're going to be available during those times. Or what's really nice now is that now that we figured out, hey, Google Meets works, you can meet online, you can do those things. Just be aware that that's one of those things happening, and to support your student in being available for those, and working in communication. Communication is so important, even with the other students, not just with the teachers, right? And one of the things that we have available too is through Google Docs. They can share those docs if it's a group assignment and communicate with each other that way, just to make sure that they're, getting together, working together, and having those times to collaborate that might not happen within the workshop. And then if you have, if you are hearing from your student that they're having trouble getting a hold of one or two, maybe a struggling student's not communicating very well, again, support them with reaching out, and then obviously you can always contact the teacher ahead of time and let them know kind of what's going on in the process. And then we will be able to, on the back end, follow up with that. One of the most important things, and I say this as an academic coach who's been working, going on my 5th year here and helping students, is, I think Mr. Dobson mentioned it early, is that schedule, keeping to a schedule. Even though that your schedule for your student may look totally different from another student's, it's still important to have them kind of keep up with that. A couple of the things we want to put on your radar is that twice a month, students are going to ask you to sign their grade sheet. That's part of our AC process where you're checking their grades. We need to see that you've checked their grades, and so that's how we kind of verify that. They should be printing those out and having you sign them. At the beginning of the month is when we have our big class meeting, and that's the first time. So if it's like the 10th or 11th and you haven't heard from that, you might want to check with your student. And then the other one is in the middle of the month when they have their individual AC meetings. So be aware of those, help them, kind of get on schedule with those. And then if you kind of know when your students' workshops, I know the workshop schedule can be kind of confusing. So ask questions. It's always really good to know when students are supposed to be where and if it's online or offline. So the workshop schedule is digital, and on the digital copy, there is the links to the online workshops. So there are a few classes that still meet online. So that's where those students can find those links. And hopefully by now they've kind of figured that out. But if you need to go back to it, that's a good place to kind of look for it. Today, I'm going to be walking through some things in Schoology. So I'm going to be showing you those things. But the other option always too is VLA is always one of those, we kind of, it was a phrase we use where we say slow release. And so freshman, sophomore year, you may be putting them, giving a little more structure, asking them to see things. But we're hoping by junior, senior year, you kind of let them kind of go and start kind of figuring, making their own schedules, dealing with those things. So one of the things Schoology is so good for is you can set what notifications you get. You can set up, how you see things. This is another reason why we ask you to create a parent account so that you can look at things. But then on the other side, ask your student, show me what that assignment looked like. Let's go over and read it together. Those are just some of those things to kind of help keep the flow going, I assume.
So a couple just things that we want to make sure everyone's aware of. There are numerous supports available here on campus. First and foremost, when you do have overall grade concerns, the specific classroom teacher is there and available and ready to provide support. An important piece that we want to make sure everyone's aware of is that every time a student has either a grade level or an academic coaching meeting, we need a signed grade sheet. So every month, twice a month, students are bringing with them a signed grade sheet, or they're being emailed to the academic coach. And so we really just want to make sure that this norm is known, that this is happening, that if you're getting towards maybe this point of the month and you have yet to hear about this signed grade sheet, it may be good to just simply ask, hey, when is your next AC meeting? This is something that is required due to the unique nature of our program. A couple things is there are individual questions and concerns about maybe a specific assignment. Before reaching out to teachers, a lot of times we encourage students to simply go back to reread the directions and check the rubric. The rubric oftentimes may have more detail within that that could help answer those. Again, if a workshop's already occurred, has this been discussed in workshops, maybe going back and reviewing a notebook that they had in class, and really, again, encouraging that independent practice. The whole model with VLA is we provide a tremendous amount of support, but we're also really trying to encourage students to have one-on-one conversations to be able to reach out and find those supports that are available to them.
I just want to jump in really quick though, because with the AC meetings, parents those are individual, obviously, but you are welcome to attend any of those meetings. So you can attend virtually if your student is meeting, with their AC on campus, but you want to check in. That is like, we encourage that. So if that is something that you are interested in, or you want to have that meeting, please let us know, and we more than happy will invite you to those.
Absolutely. So just wanted to put this out there, who to contact here on campus. So first and foremost, attendance, whether it is an absence, an upcoming absence, the primary person that you want to go to is Miss Del Monte. So Miss Del Monte is all things attendance related. For dual enrollment questions, that's myself. This is the partnership that we have with American River College that allows students to take college courses while also being in high school. Our goal is that all VLA graduates complete at least 3 college courses. Typically, the first time that occurs is the first semester of sophomore year. Advanced Ed, this is my student wants to go to the community college on their own. They want to take a college class, whether that's over the summer or during the school year. For those questions, students should be directed to Ms. Shank Tiffany or Ms. Tabrizi, who can support with that. Again, general counseling is Ms. Tabrizi. I'll let you maybe introduce yourself since I know you joined the call. So I'll turn it over to you. Oh, you're muted. There you go.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, my name is Tala Tabrizi. I'm the new counselor for VLA. I'm also at the PACT site, so I'll be split between both days, but I'll be here to help out your students, and my email is on the screen right there. I know in the weekly updates that Mr. Dobson sends out, there's a form, a self-referral form for students to fill out if they're in need of some counseling or just someone to talk to. So I'll be a resource, and I hope to meet you all soon.
Awesome. And then Library Media Center, again, Ms. Prettle or Ms. Kelly, both are just incredible resources for all things, not just books, but movies, games. There's a ton of resources that are there. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Eichner, who is going to walk us through how to navigate Schoology.
So this is going to be a little interesting if you haven't gotten a chance to it. So I hope that you just sit back and kind of look at it. And then at the end, if we have questions about getting on and what it specifically looks like, I'd be more than happy to answer questions. So we'll go through. First off, Schoology is just a platform that we use for we post all of our online lessons. When workshops are resources, all of it is there. We also use it kind of for announcements, and that's for students. For instance, if I had my world history classes until Friday, but I have something, on Tuesday, I was like, I need to tell them something, I can post it on Schoology and they would all see that. So it can be used for multiple things, not just where to look for grades and those assignments. Something new that we are doing a little bit differently than last year is that VLA instructors post assignments for the next week by Friday at midnight. So this coming Friday at midnight, we'll post week 4. We're on week 3 right now, week 4 assignments. And that way, one of the reasons why we do that is we want kids to have their own schedule and time. Some students will start on the weekend and we'll get started on it and then have questions for us coming in. We've had students in the past who, may get all their work done by Wednesday or Tuesday, maybe, without workshops and those sorts of things. So it's a way for the students to see when all their classes are and on their assignments to schedule their week out, depending on what else they're doing outside of school. So one of the things one of the ways to get to Schoology is always, if you start with our website, which is the VLA-natomascharter.org, there's a button on it that says Schoology. You can click that, or the direct link is natomascharter.schoology.com. A couple hints, don't Google search Schoology because it'll come up with the Schoology.com and you won't have access to it. It has to be the Natomas Charter in front of it. I would highly recommend just bookmarking it. It's, have your student bookmark it, have you bookmark it, the login page, so it's always right there.
For the parents, it is Schoology.com though.
All right, so when you get yourself logged in, at the top, you'll see your name, but you won't be able to see anything else. You click anything else and it's your account, so you're not gonna have anything there. So what you wanna make sure is that after you log in and you're gonna see your name up here, you're gonna click the down arrow button, and then you're gonna wanna put in your student. So once you have 1 or 2 of your students, if you have a student at PFA, student at STAR, make sure that you click on whichever student that you want. When you're first starting up your account, you're going to want to add your child only if you've already had an account set up. So when you're new, you're going to set up your account using that special code, and it should automatically populate your student if you're new to Schoology. Okay, if you're not new to Schoology, then you can do it one of those both ways. It's just really important to make sure you highlight the student you want to look at when you're looking at that information. So then you'll see at the top your student's name. Then you can look at courses, you can look at grades, and look to see what's happening in their classes, or you can look at their grades to see what their grades are going to look like. Specifically, you want to go, if you're going to look at like all of their classes, what's going on with the grades, you just hit grade report. And then it's going to show all of their classes that they're going to be enrolled in. And then you're just going to have to click each one to see how they're doing. You can also, you'll see a button that says download student report. That's where they're going to print their grade sheets for you to sign. So if they're asking kind of where to do that. So this is a little bit an example of a class with different assignments. You see, we always have our assignments all listed with weeks, kind of knowing which week we're on. Then you'll see their specific grade for anything. What's really important is on this page is where teachers give feedback. So any notes to the student about how they did can be found here. Another note to kind of keep in mind is if you have a student that says, well, I've submitted it, and you want to make sure if they've submitted it or not, you'll see either this little blue icon for a paper, or if it's a discussion, it'll look like this. If there's nothing there, that means they did not actually submit it. And I'll show you another example.
Yeah, we get this question all the time. So again, there may be something that's submitted and not graded. Again, you're looking for that little icon. And so if you see something that's marked as missing without that icon, that means nothing has been turned in.
So again, just, another example of what it would look like. The course grade is what their overall percentage of the grade is. So that was something else that I wanted to point out. Another example, kind of looking at it. And then here's the marks that you may want to be looking for also that you'll see. If there's a little green hexagon, then that just means it's excused. That means the student isn't responsible for doing it. They can't, new students come in later, they may have that, or if it was an absence and the teacher's like, don't worry about it, you don't need to make that up. It's excused and the student isn't responsible for it. If it has like this half orange, half empty, it means it's incomplete. We need the student to either finish it, or it's not completely done, or they need to go back and do it. An incomplete doesn't actually affect their grade at all. It's just sitting there. However, if it's an incomplete and after we've given the amount of time that a student needs to complete it, it may change to a 0 or a missing, depending on if they actually finished it or not. With the incompletes, it's really important to also look for those comments from the teachers for that feedback of what actually they need to finish. And then again, if you see this little open white, orange kind of thing, that means that it's missing, that it's not there. Now, if perchance, like I went in on a Monday and I put all the missings in, and then your student has submitted something after that, then that little rectangle will show up to say it was submitted. It is one of our norms that once a student has done that, they need to email the teacher to let them know that they've submitted it, because I won't check, I don't get notifications unless I go back and specifically look. So it may be a couple days before I take that 0 out or I go to grade it. So it's really important for students, if they're submitting things specifically really after we put in those missings, they need to email us and let us know that they've turned that in late.
And I'll just add one more point that, again, this is really what you want to pay attention to on those Tuesday emails. So you got an email this afternoon saying that great, everything is done, or oh wait, there's something missing. And so if you get the missing prompt, you just go into Schoology and you're looking for where those symbols are. I know you're getting a lot of information from VLA, so we try to streamline that process.
One of the other things that I want to point out is sometimes regarding rubrics is where to read the comments in rubrics. So a lot of time, if you'll see a box that looks like this, that means there's a rubric attached to the assignment directly. And that's where you can see where the students got their grade from. So you want to click on the box, and then another window is going to open up, and it's going to have the criteria and the check marks for what they got on it. And then if a teacher wants to put a comment on a specific criteria, then you'll see a little bubble, speech bubble over here, and you'll click on it and it'll give them the comments. For why they got marked down for that, or anything specific in those. So that's a good resource to use when you're like projects or essay papers. A lot of the teachers use the rubrics, and that's how to read them. A couple things just to give you a heads up about. We are, even with late policy, students have 2 weeks to get something turned in late. And it kind of falls to teachers for that regarding grading. So we have 10 school days or 2 weeks to grade and give feedback on assignments. So we're in week 3 right now. By the end of week 3, all of week 1 should be graded by the end. That's kind of our policy. So if you're like, oh, I need to see my kid's grade, I don't see it, just remember, give us that little bit of a grace period for when those things are going to be graded. Some teachers are going to be really faster about it. Some teachers are going to have those times where they're going to be right to it. It just depends on our workflow regarding that. So again, if you have questions about the student's grade, first thing you do is look at comments. You also might want to ask your student if the teacher has left comments on the Google Doc themselves. So you're not going to be able to see that necessarily unless they show you. But all teachers, that's why we love Google Docs. We could comment on stuff, especially papers, assignments that we, want to give feedback on. There's a lot of those comments. If you feel like maybe there was a comment that maybe a student has maybe checked off, ask the teacher, we can actually pull those back up and re-show them to you. So that's an option too. Again, check Rubrics instructions, kind of went over that. And then, at that point, then you might want to have the student ask the instructor. We encourage the student first to ask about grades. And that could be an email, could be an office visit. I like personally to have office visits. I know some teachers prefer that versus online because it's hard sometimes to have that conversation about what needs to be done in written form, and it's much easier to physically show them kind of what your expectations were. Tell them they can always ask during, if they have questions about things, our LC hours, lab time, all of those things. So there's plenty of time to ask for questions or set up a meeting. All right, at this point, I'm actually going to stop sharing the presentation.
And really going to open it up for question and
yet.
answer. Okay.
Do you?
Go ahead.
I was going to show them actually on Schoology, but did you want? Do you want me to do that now, or do we want to stop? I couldn't remember if we were going to stop.
So, well, yeah, I wanted to maybe come back to that that point, if that's all right, because I had a couple question answers here in the comment, and then we can do that at the end. Miss Del Monte said she's received a number of people that put in the chat. It looks like only 2 people needed access codes, maybe a couple more. We just want to make sure everyone has their access code to Schoology. If you do not, please complete this form. Again, putting it right here. While I give everyone, again, just a little bit more time to make sure we have access, because again, I want to make sure everyone can get in for this next part with Miss Eichner. While we are waiting for that, I did want to just see if anybody did have some other questions. You're welcome to put them in the chat. The first question that came up is, how can I enroll in performing arts classes, so PFAA classes? I will say this is much harder for freshmen just because they have a much fuller schedule. But if you are interested in taking a PFAA class, there is a process to go through, and basically all you do is you complete an inter-academy course request form. We have them at the front office with Ms. Del Monte, and we can just make sure that the class actually works with their schedule, and then we will process that and see if the student can get in. By and large, if there's no overlap with the schedule, most of the time students are able to get into these classes. There are some level 1 performing fine arts classes that are impacted, and in which case we may not be able to seat a student in there. What we typically tell families is that you would like to list probably 2 or 3 options. That is key, just to list 2 or 3 options, just in case one doesn't work out. Another question is, well, how do I know if credits are transferring? I know this is not specifically what you're asking, but couple things. If you took a community college class, and whether it's over the summer, maybe through advanced ed at a previous school, we want to make sure that you provide us with the college transcript. If you do that, we can make sure that they get added to the transcript, our VLA transcript. If a student has transferred from another high school to VLA, by and large, those credits are already going to transfer over. We tend to have those conversations on the front end because it impacts what courses that they're enrolled in at VLA. But if you have any questions about that, certainly seeing Ms. Del Monte or myself is a good first step. Let's see. Can two parents sign up for a Schoology account?
Oh, do you want me to answer? I was going to answer that.
Yeah,
one.
go ahead. Go ahead.
So that is actually one of the wonderful things about Schoology is that you just use the same access code, but you're going to obviously use 2 different emails to set it up. So yes, you can have, each parent can have their own account. And if that's what you would prefer, if you have different situations, we encourage that as well, to have each have your own.
So If you got a message, because again, everybody will get a message every Tuesday regarding missing assignments, there should be something missing, but certainly maybe it was marked incorrectly, in which case you can always reach out, reply directly to that email. It will go to your child's academic coach and you can get clarity as to what assignments they're missing. Again, you want to expand out each class and see if there are any missing assignments from this week. Again, for any PFA class, whether it's art, performing fine arts class, an elective of any sort, there's an Interacademy course request form that would need to be completed. For families that are looking for what are the PFA classes that are being offered, you can search the PFA course catalog online. We do have hard copies in our office as well. Again, please select multiple options.
A clarifying I want to say too with the emails, and I kind of was talking a little bit about that. So teachers go in Monday morning sometimes or Monday afternoon, it really depends, and put in those zeros. So sometimes before Tuesday, they may have turned in something that still is marked 0, though as an academic coach, I went through and looked Monday evening, and then Tuesday morning, they got submitted. So that's where we were checking when we talked about like when you check an assignment that has maybe a missing mark, but there's still that blue little tab there. That means something got submitted, but it probably was late. So we haven't had time yet to take those out. So that's where the clarification or some of those things might happen. We would recommend that again, the student email the teacher and let them know that they had turned that assignment in late.
All right. So feel free to continue to put things in the chat. Maybe we'll have time to come back to another Q&A, but I'll turn it over to Ms. Eichner because we have about 12 minutes left. Again, I apologize for the late start time. If other questions come up, please continue to put them in the chat.
So I'm going to give you kind of walk you through live and also notifications because we do get parents when you first sign up. A lot of times you're going to get like all of a sudden all these emails about everything, and you're like, what do I really need to have all these emails for? So I'm going to walk you through how to change your notifications real quick. So this is again, we're just on our test parent, but for notifications, I'm going to go to the drop down menu and I'm going to click on settings. And then I'm going to click on notifications. And then you're going to want to go through and probably turn off most of them. You do not need to know when every single new assignment comes into play. The public groups, all of those things you can turn off. However, there are certain things that if you would like to have, if a course material is overdue, you want to know that, then you can turn the notification on. Those sorts of things, like that one probably is the only one I would recommend maybe turning back on. Maybe when a school update, because like I said, sometimes we'll post something that's going on during the day. When there's a meeting, like the colleges come on campus, there's notifications about that kind of get posted on Schoology. So if you want that to be turned on, those are probably the only two. And then also make sure that your private message is on. We don't usually use that. Teachers don't usually use that, but I've had parents message me through Schoology sometimes. So if you're on Schoology and you want to just message the teacher directly, you can use that feature as well. If you don't want to, it goes directly to my email. So those are a couple of those options to change the notifications for that. The other thing I want to just point out is how we set up our courses. So again, I wasn't on my student, so I'm going to go to my student. And if I go to courses, this is kind of what it looks like in the front. Just again, these are different, the messages we put out for the students. And let's say I'm going to look at biology. Every class at the top will have some kind of resources. So some teachers put it into a Bitmoji format. All of these, if you run your link over, has, click on to get to them. Some teachers will have a folder that says resources. That's we always recommend students to look through that. And then each of the work is posted within. So I'm just wanting to show you kind of what it would look like, what you should see. So Week 1, it was really easy. Kind of one assignment. Week 2, week 3 may look a little different. Those are, oh, well, okay, that didn't work. I just was, and now I'm not. Must be a system crash. Those are just some examples of where to find things and how to look at them for that. So I guess
I was just going to maybe build off that again. I think that going into the grade overview, being able to see all of that and expand out each individual class, and that's really where we encourage families to go. I have a high schooler myself. I understand at this point, they become more and more independent. Maybe it just becomes a policy that you're really looking at it once you get that notification on Tuesday that assignments are missing. Again, what we have found at VLA is that if students do fall behind, very, very difficult to catch up just because of the amount of work that's assigned each week. And that's why we have a lot of these early interventions in place to try and help and support students right away. So a couple good questions that came up as Ms. Eichner was going through that last piece. First and foremost, dual enrollment. So what happens is American River College gives us a number of classes that are available for students to take each semester. And for example, this semester we have English 300, which is only for seniors. We have psychology, and we have a diversity through film class. The enrollment period was last spring for this fall semester. Students are then placed in I'm putting in quotes here, VLA class, where really it is an asynchronous college class where they meet. We have a teacher facilitator who can help and support them, but they are truly college students in these classes and working independently. So the next enrollment period for dual enrollment will take place likely towards the end of September. Thus far, it looks like sociology will be offered, statistics will be offered, and English 302. A good question about, is each semester going to have a different schedule? No, not necessarily. There may be some small changes though. For example, all freshmen will have the addition of a health class, and that will obviously be a new meeting time. But by and large, most classes stay pretty similar. All right, just a couple things here. Parent communication. So every Friday you get an email from me, lots of links there. I share information in the email and then also put information in the weekly updates link, which is a running list of our updates happening on campus. That is also the place for your parent hours. We have an ambitious goal for parent hours this year. And again, remember, monetary donations could count for this. Things, for example, for the snack bar could count for this, but also just time and attendance, your time today. Please go into our weekly updates and log this hour of time. That counts as parent hours. Really, our goal is just that we all have active participation within this format. Our webpage, as Ms. Eichner referenced numerous times, is vla.natomascharter.org. All of the links, including this slide, will live there. If you have Facebook, I know this is a preferred medium for some families, please join our VLA family Facebook group, and we will occasionally post important updates there. And then we have a Twitter, which is NCS_VLA. Understand not many people have Twitters nowadays, but that is also linked to our website and Facebook pages. So if you are interested in a switch to another academy, you would just reach out to the other academy and notify the office. You would have to fill out an online application. The wait list does change from year to year, so it also obviously depends on grade level. Ms. Eichner, did you have anything else?
I just have one more plug because I am the leadership teacher, and talking about parent hours. Leadership has just started planning our first in-person. We're so excited. We get to have an in-person event. September 9th is our back to school bash or social, and we are looking for donations to give snacks as the way out. So I'm going to drop a sign up Genius sheet with all the things that you can specifically donate. These are a little bit different. We have a little more freedom with these sort of food items when we get to donating for the snack bar, because it's during school. We have to have kind of more specific healthier snacks, we were more than happy to kind of list some of those options. Those are really great because that's how the snack bars, how leadership gets, the funds to be able to put on different events and do different things that we'd like to do. So I'm going to drop that in the chat, and it will also be in the weekly email too. But I just thought, while I've got you here as a plug, I'm going to plug that.
So again, I got one more question as we are wrapping things up, but I do want to make sure. So first and foremost, parents are not required to do parent hours. That has been the case now for some time. But yes, we are certainly encouraging 10 hours per family. We're pushing this year to get to 20 hours. Again, that does include all of these extracurriculars. PFA classes, the interest, that typically happens at the end of, so obviously for new students, you would do this at the beginning of the school year. We have a course enrollment that takes place at the end of the school year. So if you're a freshman, you would do that at the end of the school year or then the sophomore year. So that is the sign-up time for PFA classes, but we typically go through the enrollment forms and the actual process once the school year begins. Other questions that popped up here. At ARC this semester, the semester has already begun, so it is too late to unfortunately sign up for a class at this point in the semester. This semester's dual enrollment classes were psychology, diversity in film, English 300. All right. So with that being said, we're going to bring this to a close. It is 5:58. Please do not hesitate to reach out if there are other questions or concerns. I know we threw a lot of information at everyone today, but on behalf of the entire VLA team, we just want to thank everyone for coming. Thank you for working through some of those technical difficulties there in the beginning. And again, we look forward to having a great school year. We are so happy to have students